victims of wars and armed conflicts across the globe, with increasing number of orphans living in poverty. According to statistics from the UNICEF, there are an estimated 153 million orphans worldwide, mostly living in poverty without access to education. The Boko Haram insurgency that broke out in Borno State more than a decade ago has set an alarming record of displaced, orphans and unaccompanied children whose lives and future needed to be secured through special care and education. Nigeria is listed among the top 10 nations with highest rate of orphans in 2023, an indication that all hands must be on deck to better their future through education. What then are the efforts by governments and spirited individuals to improve their lives for a promising future? This is our focus on Panorama from Maiduguri Zonal Center. I am Abubakar Musa, glad to have you join us. Let's move on. President Bola Tinubu has advised the United States of America to ensure that its policy is intentionally collaborative with the independent African democracies at a time when they are under assault by anti-democratic forces within and outside of the continent. The president, who received the U.S. Presidential Envoy and Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Ambassador Molepi, this Saturday, noted that American-backed development finance and multilateral institutions, which were designed to support war-torn Europe after World War II, require swift and comprehensive reform to meet the developmental requirements of younger democracies in Africa, which operate in authoritarian, crowded environments. He said this is to ensure that the legitimate yearnings of Africans will no longer be manipulated to serve the narrow aim of self-seeking demagogues through unconstitutional takeovers of power. President Tinubu explained that the private sector will lead the way within an enabling environment created for them, but the U.S. government must be innovative in its thinking and systematically create incentives for U.S. industrial investment in Nigeria. He said under his leadership, Nigeria stands ready to address their specific regulatory tax and environmental concerns as he is determined to create prosperity for all Nigerian families. The Nigerian leader affirmed that the crisis in Niger Republic will not deter him from concluding his economic reform program successfully for the benefit of Nigerians, and that he takes a cue from no nation but will only advance the interests of the Nigerian state in his approach towards ECOWAS handling of the regional standoff. The ECOWAS chairman declared that war is not ideal for his economic reforms, nor for the region, but the defense of democracy is sacrosanct, which is why the bloc's consensus is that it will not allow anyone to insincerely buy time. Pledging its support for the position of ECOWAS, the U.S. Special Presidential Envoy expressed the high regards the U.S. administration has for the leadership of the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, President Bola Tinubu, and extended an exclusive invitation from U.S. President Joe Biden to meet on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York City to advance discussions further in late September. Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Toga disclosed that the parties also discussed trade and bilateral relations between Nigeria and the United States.
Security concerns, that's the elephant in the room. You know, what's happening in our region, what's happening in Niger, and other things. The return to democracy and normalcy is paramount. The security concerns in the region also very important. Both sides are pleased. Of course, we're going to Anga, so there will be sideline meetings there also to continue along the same lines.
That now, in Nigeria, where every child can access the best education available, regardless of their circumstances, is possible, and this lofty desire can move beyond the realm of vision to reality with the right support system. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu stated this at the flag-off of the National Scholarship Program for Tertiary Education by the Renewed Hope Initiative in Abuja. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports that 46 indigent students drawn from tertiary institutions across the country made the cut at the maiden edition of the scholarship.
Initiative for indigent students in tertiary institutions.
Allocation of 36.4 million naira as palliatives for 1,215 corps members posted to Borno State, with each getting 30,000 naira. Governor
thinking about how will I go about university, how will I be able to pay for the books that I'll get to study in the university.
It has reduced a lot of load in my father's head.
Education is one of the 5 key areas of intervention by the Renewed Hope Initiative, and the National Scholarship Award will complement the student loan scheme of the federal government to further give access to indigent students seeking tertiary education.
It's a commitment and a promise that we make today to identify with the youth of Nigeria, to say to them that their dreams and aspirations matter. Through this program, we seek not only to provide financial assistance, but also to foster an environment where talent is nurtured.
While urging the beneficiaries to take their studies seriously, as their CGPA will be taken into consideration in subsequent years, the first lady also encouraged them to acquire vocational skills. To be eligible, a beneficiary must have a good academic standing with proof of admission.
If we all support the cause of these gentlemen and ladies, especially in their educational pursuits, then we could have played our role in building a strong and virile nation, not only for now, but indeed the future.
Coming from university environment myself, I know there are lots of brilliant and indigent students. With this kind of initiative, of course, it's going to go a long way to support the academic activities in school.
In the State House, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
Government has announced allocation of 36.4 million naira as palliatives for 1,215 corps members posted to Borno State, with each getting 30,000 naira. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum announced the intervention when he visited the NYSC orientation camp days after he attended the swearing-in of the corpers following reopening of the camp in Maiduguri after 12 years of closure due to insurgency. Mohammed Goni completes the story.
It was the second visit to temporary NYSC orientation camp by Governor Zulum since reopening, where he also allocated 100 bags of rice, 10 cows, 10 bags of 100 kg of beans, and 10 gallons of cooking oil for special meal to be prepared for the corps members during their ongoing 3 weeks orientation course. The governor charged the corps members to adhere to camp rules by living peacefully among themselves and engaging in acts that would foster peace in the country. He expressed gratitude to the federal government for improving the security situation in Borno State, which enabled the return of NYSC orientation camp in Maiduguri.
I want to assure you that the government of Borno State, under my distinguished leadership, will do everything possible to ensure that you carry out your responsibilities without fear.
For years, the federal government suspended hosting of NYSC orientation camp in Maiduguri due to activities of insurgents, with corps members deployed to Borno State, hosted in Bauchi and Katsina among other states for their 3 weeks orientation, after which they are deployed to Borno for the service year. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
Borno State Committee on Palliative Distribution has blocked all leakages identified by the government and pledged to reach all nooks and crannies with the distribution. For more on this, let's now join Yarwaya Umar.
There are marked 300,000 households for a statewide palliative distribution to cushion the hardship of the fuel subsidy removal and high cost of food items. While that distribution was on, federal government intervened by giving 5 billion naira grant to complement the efforts on ground. To explain further on the ongoing palliative distribution exercise is Borno State Commissioner for Local Government and Emirate Affairs, Sugunme Mele.
This one is a continuous exercise. This is not the first time, not the second time. The governor, Professor Bana Umar Zulum, has been going around the clock to distribute these palliatives. So the 5 billion that the federal government now is releasing is only for about 100,000 households. If you can recall, the distribution that the governor plucked up in Maiduguri Metropolitan alone
and Jere. Metropolitan has a total population of 15 wards, while Jere has 12. The governor is giving them 2,000 bags to all the wards. 7 wards by 2,000 bags is equal to about 54,000 bags. And with my Sandari, they are getting 3,000. The one we distributed yesterday. So that is 55,000 bags of rice only for 2 local governments. So the remaining 25 local governments is left with only 45,000. So the governor is augmenting these differences.
How do you intend to cover entire state in view of the insecurity in some parts?
Especially when you go to Mongono, the total population of IDPs in Mongono is running to over 100,000. The governor went there, distributed materials. He went to Ngala, he went to Goza, he went to Askira Uba, he went to Damasak. So all these local governments, the insurgency is relegated to the background. So there is quite improvement.
With these strategies in place, it is hoped that no household will be left without the palliative distribution in Borno State. It's back to you in the studios.
Thank you, Yarwaya. Talking health now, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, says it is monitoring the new subvariants of the Omicron variant of the SARS-CoV-2 virus named EG.5 and BA.2.86. As of 7th August 2023, the EG.5 has been reported in 51 countries, including the United States of America, the Republic of Korea, Japan, Canada, Australia, Singapore, the United Kingdom, France, Portugal, and Spain, among others. The World Health Organization has classified EG.5 as a variant of interest and conducted a risk assessment which found this new variant posing a low risk at the global level. In a statement issued by the NCDC Director General Dr. Ifedayo Adetifa, no new subvariants of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 has been identified in Nigeria, and the agency's COVID-19 technical group is closely monitoring epidemiology situation, including emerging variants. The statement also explains that NCDC and partners are working on implementing an enhanced COVID-19 testing exercise in 4 states to obtain complementary and more detailed information about circulating variants in the country. If you're just joining us, you're on to Panorama on the Nigerian Television Authority. Let's take a break now. More reports for you shortly. We're glad to have you back on Panorama. Let's move on now. Enrolling children in schools should not be seen as an act of doing them favor, but an obligation and respect for their fundamental rights. In this post-insurgency era in Borno, Pauline Kujivana sought to know efforts being made for the education of the orphans, unaccompanied and vulnerable children occasioned by the conflict spanning over a decade.
Educating the children is securing the future of a nation. It is therefore imperative for government to come up with plans which will enable all children have access to good education, irrespective of their background, in order to guarantee a better place for the country in the face of global imperativeness in all spheres of endeavor. The case of little Fatima is a clear example of steps taken by Borno State government and spirited individuals to better the lives of the children by enrolling them in both boarding and day schools.
We are having 1.8 million children out of school, according to UNICEF statistics of 2022. We are trying to create access by building more schools, rehabilitating more of our schools in the rural areas and areas that are most affected by insurgency. The Sangaya has been an age-old education system in northern Nigeria and northern Africa. We are going to use the modern-day Sangaya system to get them into school, then later mainstream them into various institutions. We have built many of the vocational enterprise institutes and will strengthen our vocational training centers that were existing.
In spite of that, street children have continued to be a challenge facing the city of Maiduguri, with many of them orphaned by the insurgency, parents, victims of the carnage, taking the category of vulnerable persons.
This is a child that is not supposed to be separated from the parent. They need to be in school for them to sustain their life in the future. Day in, day out, if you come out on the street, the number is increasing. The government is always doing. But I think we need to go for sustainability plan.
Unaccounted children displaced, unaccompanied and orphans constitute an increasing number of the street children, which calls for collective responsibilities to building more schools and ensure their enrollment to secure their future and that of the nation. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujevana, NTA News.
That's true, Pauline. Thank you for that. Now, orphans and unaccompanied children occasioned by the Boko Haram insurgency have over the years been an issue of concern to stakeholders on how to rehabilitate, educate and improve their lives for a better future. While government shoulder the responsibilities of catering for some of the children's education, philanthropists from within and outside the state have also demonstrated the spirit of humanity, such as our guest on today's Panorama, who is also the founder of Future Prowess Foundation School for the Orphans and Vulnerable Children, Barrister Zanna Mustafa. Sir, we're actually happy that you're part of Panorama today.
Thank you.
All right, for a start, sir, how big is the dimension of concern on ground regarding, the state of orphans, vulnerable and unaccompanied children?
Well, no matter how honestly one may wish to lay content to display, the numbers of children in the streets is of alarming proportion, because one, we have the sheer resistance to education, especially in this part of the country, and currently coupled with the insurgency, children who are left to wallow on their own, and the numbers, when you are talking of them, you are talking in terms of hundreds and thousands, which the government cannot have the opportunity or to handle the magnitude in their own school, because they may have the facilities. However, the workforce for them to cater for these children? Is it all about primary education? It is about secondary education. So all these things are coupled and sudden on the state. So in a nutshell, individuals, assemblies of goodwill have to come in to help. Like, no matter how we wish to take the number of children, our schools can only accommodate maybe 2,000 and 2,000 and something. And when you are talking of hundreds and thousands, you are taking just a very minimal position. So, we need to have the international development partners coming in to help by not only giving some schools apparatus like the books, the bags and others. They have to come into scholarship, at least to give these children scholarship so that these children can go to school, so that they will have a safe space to study. So this is the situation currently on ground.
All right, Barrister, in the course of the insurgency, we would like to know how much has been achieved with respect to educating these victims?
Well, that period of insurgency is being considered as sort of a dark period where all schools were closed and that it is only very few that were left on to stay. But when after this thing, there was a huge development that is coming in terms of infrastructure to accommodate these children. But these children, no matter how we take the number of the children by the government, it cannot be enough. We have to involve the private schools, at least so that government and other assemblies have to come in, so that at least they can support these schools, these private schools, so that they can give scholarship for them to at least coexist with their own contemporary, because we are given a sort of a special education where the children who have seen their parents being killed, they have this psychological trauma of unpleasant experiences that they have watched during that period. So they were made to go into a special education. And these private schools can equally give such. So it is not something that the government will say, well, I'm the one doing the whole thing. It has to be shared, the responsibility within the other spheres of the society so that at least it can be accommodated. Because you cannot leave such huge burden on the government. The government has its own burdens of accommodating a lot of other segments of the society, not only on education, but we need to come in and then push ahead.
All right, it appears time is not on our side, but I think we just have to take this. What is your advice to government, stakeholders in the education sector and the community on ensuring this generation of children of war become useful, to the society?
Well, you have to involve a sort of a new education that you are going to give, a special education that will accompany sort of livelihood skills, where you give livelihood skills to these children, such as entrepreneur and other aspects of it, so that they can not only come and say, we have completed our school, they will come out with the skills that they can also be useful to the society, no matter how young these children are. So this would be one of the things that the government should have opened up its frontier to accommodate all those technical educations, computers and others, that immediately they are done with school. So this could also help in giving out the much needed what the society drives from them.
Barrister Zanna Mustafa, we appreciate you so much for being part of Panorama today. Barrister Zanna Mustafa is the founder of Future Prowess Foundation School for the Orphans and Vulnerable Children in Borno State. Let's move on. The need to become self-reliant and independent has been described as necessary for the development of youths, especially in this trying period of economic hardship. This was disclosed during the 10-day training on capacity building of youths on digital marketing and e-commerce towards income generation and self-employment organized by Borno State Ministry of Reconstruction, Rehabilitation and Resettlement in collaboration with Northeast Multisectoral Crisis Recovery Project, MCRP, in Maiduguri. Milka Damalam will now tell us more.
The training is aimed at equipping youths with digital knowledge to become self-reliant by taking advantage of technological advancement like mobile phones to fully engage in e-commerce. The selection of 1,000 participants was technology-based, with the application forms uploaded on the internet where successful applicants were contacted. Program Coordinator Multisectoral Crisis Recovery Project, MCRP, Babazanna Abdul Karim, said the project will be conducted in partnership with experts who have private digital hubs to ensure sustainability of the program.
Not just about putting the projects there, but ensuring that they continue to have that sustainability. Ability is to have indigenous experts who can deliver on the training and also make themselves available for continuous interaction.
The program is also aimed at targeting more youths to continue to step down the training to another set of people continuously. Participants thanked organizers of the program, saying the training will help in expanding their businesses. The organization will also partner with the State Microfinance Bank so that they can provide loans to youths. In Maiduguri, Milka Damalam, NTA News.
Winners have emerged in the 2023 North Central Chess Championship. For more on this and other stories, it's over now to Olalekan Kilajolu on Sports Update.
Kigiga Bomo has emerged winner of the 2023 North Central Chess Championship, which ended Saturday at the Goodluck Ebele Athletes Hostel of the Package B section of Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. Organizers of the week-long event says it is part of efforts to further discover talents from all the geopolitical zones in the country, as mandated by the Nigerian Chess Federation.
It comes with a lot of practice. I've been competing lately this year in almost all the zonal competitions, and been always runner-up. This is the first zonal competition I'm winning this year.
It's a grassroots development and also serve as a qualifier for our national championship. So it is the effort of the zonal rep on the board.
So it has been on Panorama today from the NTA Maiduguri Zonal Network Center. Thank you for being part of it. Do enjoy the rest of the weekend.